Stormworks is currently a mess and a disaster of a game. The community is in uproar and the developers are silent. How did this happen, and how could an update completely break the game? Well, in this video we will be discussing everything. The Space DLC releases, and the community apprehensively opens up Stormworks, and floods of players purchase the new DLC, unaware of the trouble it would bring. Just shortly after the release, players begin to report that things may not be as good as they seem. People note that ships aren't behaving as they normally would. Ships have lost all buoyancy. Jets no longer fly, among many more problems. It was also discovered that doors now produced particles whenever they were opened. New sounds were implemented, such as a drowning sound, which was just a reused zombie sound effect. It was just a complete mess. The community was instantly thrown into complete uproar. Hours passed, more and more complaints came in, and the developers remained silent as their entire community collapsed around them. People began to review bomb the game and boycott the DLC, with entire Discord servers being created about striking the game. It was a disaster. I myself have had all of my creations ruined by some of the changes, as well as many others. Some have even resorted to quitting the game altogether, and the most shocking part is that this is not the first time. Something similar to this happened roughly 2.5 years ago with the Modular Engines update. Evidence was even found suggesting that the developers don't even care about the game, and that they're just trying to keep Stormworks alive so it can fund other games. And the fact that they didn't even playtest this update to ensure that the rest of the game still works is absolutely absurd. All the developers seem interested in is silencing the community by banning people from their Discord server at the slightest criticism, and shadow banning people on the bug tracker for suggesting features that they don't like. It's absolutely crazy, and by the looks of it, the ratings show. It was now the next day, and still no statement from the developers, and the community is absolutely enraged. All creations are still broken. A hotfix is released, claiming to fix buoyancy. Some creations are fixed, however almost all are still broken. Ships capsize when they didn't before, and planes still cannot fly. And that's where we are now. The community is still enraged, and creations are still broken. I also found out today that if you use a fire extinguisher, you fly. Talk about a polished game. I think it's a complete unneeded mess that could have been executed a lot better. Nobody should have been put through the stress that this has caused, especially on builders who have spent thousands of hours working on creations, who now have had all that effort pretty much put into something that's now been made useless due to the update. It doesn't matter that the update is bad, what matters is why it's bad. To me, this indicates a complete lack of any structure to their in-house testing, and a complete lack of form of any beta testing team. Unsurprisingly, Beginner has confirmed this. I'm a CS major and a beta tester for a couple games, and seeing this happen time and time again is nothing but painful. Only a revert to the previous version and a total reassessment of the devs' priorities can fix this hot mess of a game. So many vehicles broken, and half-optimised mechanics implemented in the latest update. This shows an incredible lack of in-house testing, incompetency with the update deadline management, and a complete disregard for the comparatively small portion of the player base that actually builds. Even though the 2% creates the vehicles for the 98%, that doesn't mean that you should listen to the 98% for what to do with your game. As someone who's been designing creations for all my 2,000 hours in this game, it's been incredibly frustrating over this game's history to watch the devs break one thing or another about builds just because they wanted to make a gameplay change based upon the feedback from people who don't even have the slightest idea what a composite node is. They went too far with the Space DLC, tried to eat more than they could. Generally speaking, Stormworks as an engine most certainly never had the capabilities to be realistic without breaking everything. The devs tried to make a realistic physics engine in a game that for years hasn't had one. With that aside, space, really? Yeah, it's cool, but Stormworks is probably the wrong game, and the wrong platform for it. I fear that they were trying to capitalise off the recent events like the SLS and Artemis in the spaceship development. But to what game? Most people who are interested in space would probably just buy Kerbal or Juno, simple rockets do. These seemingly are money grabbing in a market that honestly makes no sense to try it, with the platform that Stormworks provides. The developers only do something once the community speaks up. People might say that we're dramatic, but that's not true. Thousands of creators suffered from this. A tiny hotfix with barely any text shows that they just rushed this out because our army scared them. And if we ever said anything, the game would still be broken. I think a lot of us expected this update to contain bugs and break some systems, but no one could have expected how bad this would really be. This whole situation is proof for the fact that the devs do not playtest their updates and do not actually care for the game or community. It has also now become apparent to many more people that the devs are actively silencing people, not only on the Discord but also shadow banning people from the bug tracker. It's safe to assume that if the devs do not change, this game dies within the next few years, maybe even months. We may even call this the beginning of the end for Stormworks. Geometa, or specifically Deltars, never wanted this game to become the one that succeeds. This game is now just being used as the main source for Deltars to finance other projects he actually wants to succeed. He doesn't care about Stormworks, he only wants the money from it. So what I say is, review bomb the game. Don't recommend the game to anyone. Let it die. Once the devs don't get enough money to pay the bills anymore, they may actually change and make this game better. There is no other option. We have tried again and again to change the devs and make them listen to us. They do not want to.